Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you all to the fourth lecture for the course of Microprocessor Theory and Interfacing. My name is Engineer Jafar Ali. I am an instructor for this course. Let's start with the recapitulation of all the previous topic that we have discussed till now. We have started our course with the introduction to microprocessor fundamentals. We have learned about different basic terminologies that are used in microprocessor. Then we looked over a difference between microprocessor, microcomputers, as well as microcontrollers. After that, we learned about evolution of microprocessors, that how microprocessors evolved from the basic version or from the started version till the date it's now. Then we looked over at different applications of microprocessor, that how this microprocessor is used in different applications and fields of life. Then we learned about a bus architecture, that how a bus architecture can achieve a good performance and efficient performance for the microprocessor. After that, we learned about architecture of microprocessor specifically for 8086 and 8085A, but we focused on 8086 in the last lecture. Then we learned about different types of buses and computer language, and in the last we did detailed discussion on memory management. So today's topic is basically the continuation of the previous topic. In the previous lecture, we have discussed about computer language, and we learned about the ALP program, that is assembly language programming. And I have given you an assignment for difference between LLP and HLP, that is a higher level program and low level programming. So I hope that you have done that assignment as well. So in that capacity, in that continuation, we will be starting the instruction set of 8086 microprocessor in today's class. Now, what is instruction set for 8086A? A instruction is actually a binary pattern that is designed inside a microprocessor, and the reason why we do design this processing pattern or binary pattern, that is to perform a specific function or to execute a specific task. You want to execute a specific task, so for that you need to give some proper instruction to the system, and that is why this is known as instruction set. This set of different instructions is known as basically instruction set. And the entire group, as I've told you, that this entire group of instructions that a microprocessor supports, this is very important, that if you design an instruction set but it is not supported by the microprocessor, it won't work. So if you want that your instruction set works on your microprocessor, that they both need to be compatible with each other. If your microprocessor is not compatible with your instruction set, it doesn't matter that how long you give the instruction set, it will never work. So 8086 has more than 20,000 instructions, and this is not an accurate figure, but it's a approximate figure. Now coming towards the classification of instruction set, that how you can classify different instruction sets in 8086 microprocessor specifically. What is the first one is basically data transfer instructions. That is used for, you can see by the name, that it is all mostly used for the data transfer. If you want to move some data or copy some data from one register to another register or from one area to another area, that is known as basically data transfer instructions, and the instructions that are used for that is basically termed as data transfer instructions. After that, there is arithmetic instructions. Arithmetic, you know that we use ALU, and to specify the functions or specify the instructions, that instructions are basically known as arithmetic instructions. After that, there is a bit manipulation instructions. Now what is bit manipulation? If you want to manipulate a single bit of a pin, or you can say a byte, you have 8 bytes and you want to manipulate one pin. Let's say you have a byte of 10101010. and if you want to manipulate one of the data, one of the bit actually, for that you have to only toggle this. Manipulate means toggling, so you can do this 1 0 1 0 1 0, and the last is double 1. So you see, you have basically manipulated the last bit, and the instruction that is used to carry out this execution, this process, is basically termed as bit manipulation instruction. Similarly, another instruction is program execution transfer function. We will discuss that in class inshallah, because it's a huge topic. For now, kindly understand that it is you can transfer the whole program execution using these instructions. In the After that, there is string instructions. Now, what is string? String is basically a combination of characters that are specified by a microprocessor. You can use any strings, data, a string of data, a string of characters, a string of numerics, alphanumerics. Strings is basically a combination of uh, multiple but same data type. In the last, we will be seeing at what is processor control instructions. These instructions are normally used to control the performance or control the mechanism of instructions. And you know that in 8086 we have discussed about EIU, that is EU, and BIU, that is execution unit, and BIU is another portion of the 8086 microprocessor architecture. Now, what is data transfer instructions? We have I've told you that this is basically instructions that is used actually to transfer the data from source to destination, or from one point to another point. If you want to copy a data or you want to move a data, for that reason you need to have some instructions given to your microprocessor, and that instruction is basically known as data transfer instructions. The operand can be a constant memory location, register, or any input output port. You can see that you want to copy your data to an output USB device, or you want to display your data at the output port. So you will have to move your data from the ALU, let's say, and display it to the LCD connected to the microprocessor. Similarly, you can do whatever you want to move your data, to copy your data, and the instructions that will be using for that will be termed as data transfer instructions. So this is about data transfer instructions, and you can see that the instructions are normally consist of a move, and you have to specify the destination and specify the source. So when you use this command, this is basically instruction set instruction. So if you apply this instruction, the data which will be in source will be automatically moved to the destination, or you can do the vice versa. If you want to move your data from destination to source, so you can use this command. You have to just reverse the order of the variables. This command will actually copy the data from the destination to the source in the backward direction. So this is the difference between these two instruction set. SRC operand can be any register. You can see that it can be any memory location or immediate operand, or it can also be any external device, input output using, and that will be connected using input output port actually. Destination can also be a register, memory, or any other operand, memory operand, or you can say any other input output port. And these both source and destination memory cannot be memory location at the same time. You cannot copy destination to the destination, it won't work. And you similarly, you cannot copy source to source, or you can say, if you write source to source, that is move source to source, it won't work, because it cannot happen at the same time. It is mentioned that you cannot use these both at the same time. let's say this example is given, that is this data is now actually moved into CX basically is a register, and that is a C register, and you know that it has a high bit and a low bit, so it is moved, this data is moved actually in one of the byte. Similarly, you have copied the data, you have moved actually the data from BL to AL. Similarly, you have moved the data that is in hexadecimal to a BX. There is another operation that can be used for data transfer instructions, and that is basically push operand. Now, what is push operand? If you remember, we have discussed about stack last time. This is a stack. What does the stack do? Stack is basically a memory, or you can say data structure, where you want to store some data in the stack. So the first data that will be going in will be coming at the last. Similarly, the second data will be coming top of it. See that this is your first data, this is your second data, and similarly the list goes on. The last data will be coming in, will be placed at the top of the stack. Let's say this is the last, last, last. So this is your last data that you want to store in your stack. Now, how do you store your data in stack? For that you need actually the push command. This push bx will push the data into the stack on the top of it, actually on the top of the stack. You know that the push instructions for, let's say in this case, the last data is actually at the top of the stack. Similarly, if there was only two data, there was only two given data, so two will be two would be at the top of the data stack, and for that you will need to push basically 2. You need to do the push 2. And similarly, there is another instructions that is used, pop. If you want to take out the top of the data, because you cannot directly access the last data, because this is a closed vessel shape, and if you want to take this last data out, actually you need to apply the command of pop. This will actually remove or take out the top component or the top data that is stored in this stack. So this is the basically pop instruction that is used for the stack. And similarly, if you want to take out 2, you have to first take out all the data that is placed over 2, and after that you will be reaching 2. So first, let's say this is last, and let's say there are 7 6 5, there are several data placed over here, 4 3. So if you want to remove to take out 2, you actually have to pop all these memory locations, empty the vessel till 2. You have to apply pop. Let's say this memory is actually AX. Let's say this is the AX. So you have to apply pop AX 8 times. How many times? Sorry, not 8 times. 1 2 3 4 5 6, actually 6 times. You have to apply this command at least 6 times, and after that you will be using another command, pop AX again, and you will be getting your data 2. This will this equation now will give you pop 2, but the other data that you have basically popped out for finding this data, this is outside now from the stack, so you again have to use this push AX actually. So you will have to push AX again 6 times to push the data back to the stack, that remaining data that you have popped out. So this is basically push AX, and you have to run this command again 6 times, because you have 6 data set, 6 different data set, and you want to push it back into the stack. So for that you again need to use push. So this is basically a complicated but efficient method to store your data into a stack. Now coming toward in this instruction set, that is in accumulator and out accumulate out port address. Input address, in accumulator and out port address or accumulator. So starting with the in port address or in accumulator, it basically transfers the operand from a specified port to accumulator register. You know that the accumulator register is basically the one which is handling most of the operations regarding ALU. This is basically A register, accumulator. So if you want to move your data to accumulator from a specific port, let's say output port or a USB port or any input output port, so you have to basically use in accumulator or in port address data instructions, and this is basically typed as this form. You have to you see that you have to in this port data from the port into your accumulator register. So this will be accumulating this inside the A. Similarly, if you want to do the opposite, you can use output address, and what it will do, it will actually move the accumulator result into any output memory location or any output data. So it basically transfers the operand from accumulator to a specified port. These are nothing but the ports. So in accumulator or in port basically move the data from the ports towards the accumulator, and output means the data is moved from accumulator towards the output port or any other port. It's very simple. Other commands that are used in data transfer instructions are LAHF, SAHF, pushf, popf. This are big. Let's see what does it mean. In the first command, you see that in LAHF, it copies the lower byte of flag register. We have discussed about flag registers in the previous classes. Flag registers, the data of flag registers is copied. The lower byte of the flag registers is actually copied to the AH. You see that the name shows that lower byte of AH and F stands for flags. So the lower byte of flag register is basically moved into the AH, and that is the the memory location. Similarly, the other term is SAHF. It copies the contents of AH to the lower byte of flag register. It is the opposite of this. So you are doing the reverse process over here. Similarly, push F means pushes the flag register to the top of stack. You have a stack and you have to push the flag register on the top of the stack. You have to use push F. Similarly, if you want to take out that flag register, you have to actually use pop F. But keep in mind that if it will only work if the flag register is on the top of the stack. If it is somewhat in the middle, so you have to take all the elements out that are above it, and that will be that you can do easily by using pop, not pop F, only pop. So if there is another data on the top of this flag register, let's say this is your flag register, and another one data is actually on the top of it, let's say this is stack, this is data 1. So you have to first, you can see that you have to use this command first, pop AX, and it will remove A from 1 from here. After that you can use pop F actually to remove or to take out a flag register. Now coming towards the instructions that are used for the arithmetic operations, and you know that arithmetic operation involves add, multiplication, subtraction, division, etc. So for that you can use add instructions for addition purposes. And how does it work? It works on the same basis that data from the source will be added to the destination. It adds a byte to byte or a word to a word, and it affects AF, CF, OF, PF. These are all flags. Actually, you have learned about different flags in the previous lecture: auxiliary flag, carry flag, overflow flag, and if parity flag, and so on. There were about seven or more than seven flags in the microprocessor. So this basically affects the processor addition, will actually affect the flags actually. So let's see some examples. This is basically first example that we have to add 74 hexa into AL. It means there will be some data in AL before. AL will be carrying, let's say this is your AL, and let's say AL has zero data, no data fill at the moment. Now when you use this instruction set, 74H will be added into AL. So this will become 74H. Now if you use the same command again, that add AL 74, next time 74 comes in, it will be added into the previous 74. So it will become 128, or sorry, 148. 74 plus 74. So the AL become 148H if you use these command twice. Similarly, if you want to add some data to another register, you can use that as well. The data from the register AX will be copied or moved or added. It will be moved and added, not just moved or copied. It will be moved but added it will be added in the DX. Similarly, if you want to add this data into this data, you can use this command as well. These are different methods to add a same command. Now there is another operation that you can use, that is ADC, and this is from and this basically adds the two operands with CF, that is your carry flag. It affects, again you can see that if you want to add some data in, and you want your flags to be affected, so you can use basically ADC, and it will affect AF, CF, on all the other flags. And these are the examples given over here. Arithmetic instructions also include subtraction, and you can see that it also works on the same methodology, that it will subtract the source from the destination. It subtracts a byte from byte over word. It will also affect these flags. And for subtraction, this carry flag acts as a borrow flag. You know that if you have to subtract low byte from a higher byte, you have to actually carry some data, take some carry from the neighbor, let's say. So this is, you have to carry this data. It will now perform the same task, but for current reason you do not have any carry flag. So for that you also need a carry flag, and this carry flag will act as a borrow flag. You will actually have to borrow this one from the neighbor so that you can subtract it. So this is the purpose of this instruction set, that is subtraction from destination of source. Similarly, if you want to two operands, you can use these instructions also, and it will subtract two operands and also the borrow from the result. So this is the another example for your subtraction case. You have to, in this case you are actually using byte to byte or word to word subtraction. The difference between both of these, and in this instruction set you are actually subtracting two operands and the borrow as well. Now coming toward another instruction set that is mostly used, and keep remember in mind that this is the also a very important instruction set that you will be using in your coming uh, life, inshallah. And this is basically increment source. If you want your if you want to, let's say you are reading a book, so after every page you have to increment one page. You read one page and you have to increment one page. You read again the second page, you have to increment the one page plus one. So you have to basically increment by one. So there should be some processor or instruction set that carries the same function. So for that you need to have increment source. If you are reading and you want to read page by page or word by word or byte by byte, so you can use this term actually, and it also affects these flags, but it is not it does not affect the carry flag, because this is not the addition or any arithmetic, such kind of arithmetic. It will be adding the top one and removing the last one actually. It means that if you are let's say the example that if you are reading a book and someone asks you uh, how much have you read this book, so you won't tell them that I have read 1 2 3 4 7 pages, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 pages. You, this is not the right answer. You will only say that I have read up to 7 pages. So you won't answer him like I have read 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. This is not the way. You will or tell him that I have read up to 7. So it means that you have ignored all the members of the lower pages and you have saved the final memory. Similarly, you for this type of instruction set, the final memory is actually saved, and you do not have to carry all the remaining information. And similarly, it is not the carry flag is not affected, because it does not give you some big output. It will only have the last output actually. Similarly, there is another command that is basically decrement source, and it will decrement. It will do the opposite. The best example for decrement source is that let's say you are watching a cricket match and you see that in the let's say this is the final over, and after every ball the over becomes decremented by 1 0 point. First it was 1 over, then it becomes 0.5 balls, 0.4, and up to so on. So you see that this is actually not incrementing, this is decrementing. So for that you can use decrement source. You see that this has been decremented by 1, 0.3, and so on. Now coming towards the remaining instructions, you can use AAA, that is adjust after addition, or you can use ASCII instructions like AAS, ASCII adjustment after subtraction, adjustment after multiplication, adjustment after division. These are different ASCII codes actually that you can use yourself by for microprocessor actually. And what does it do? It basically the entered data from the one terminal is in ASCII format, and you have to represent that data inside your microprocessor in ASCII. 0 and 9 are represented by 30 to 39H. The instruction allows us to add the ASCII codes. You can add these ASCII codes actually. These are the ASCII codes for this data. These are the data, and these are their representations. So this instruction does not allow any operand. You cannot use any operand over here. This is the difference between these instructions and the previous instructions. So this is a little bit different from the previous instructions. Similarly, you can use DA, that is decimal after addition, decimal after adjust after subtraction, and in the last you can also create a complement or a negation. This is basically NEG stands for negation. It will the sign this is a sign of actually the negation. uh, This is the sign of negation. It means that it takes the complement, 2's complement of a given number. If you want to change or toggle or negate some data to take the exact opposite of some data, let's say I have to negate this. For double zero, it will definitely be double one. You have actually negated the data. And how does it occur? Let's say this data is stored in, let's say, A. So if you want to use its opposite, you can easily use these instructions. You have to negate the data. Now there is another function that is complement, and that is, what does it do? It basically compares. This is the compare instruction, and you can see that it compares actually the source and destination. Let's say you are performing a application task, and you are asked to run the execution unless and until uh, so let's take an example of this compare task. You know that we have already discussed about the cricket example. Let's take that example again. So the maximum over can be that can be bowled by any team is, let's say, 50. This is a one-day match, and this 50, the maximum limit is saved as A. And now this team has start batting, and the score, the overs starts from 0, and it will be coming at 50 after, let's say, 8 hours or 7 hours or 8 hours. Now who will be checking that if this 50 is the maximum limit or not? So for that you can use this command. Actually, you will have to compare the source. This is the source, let's say, and this is your destination where you want to achieve. So it will continuously performing the comparison after every over. Let's say after every over, it will compare this data actually to this data. If it is not equal, it will be keep going on until unless this becomes equal. This, now if you came here and you saw that the data has been equaled or compared and the answer is okay, so you have to stop over here. Similarly, you can start over here for different any reverse processes. You can use these compare commands to initiate something. We will look at different examples of this all these instruction set with practical examples. I will give you practical examples in class, inshallah. So we will discuss that in class. Now there is a multiplication. You can use source multiplication with any byte or any it basically multiplies 2 bytes to produce a word, or 2 words to produce a double word. So you can see that it is basically multiplication. So you see that this is basically multiplying a source with itself actually. So it will get double. The word, if this is a byte, it will get double. If it is a word, it will become 2 word, double word. So you can see that it is a multiplying by its own. So this is basically multiply source, and this is this is unsigned instruction, multiplication instruction. It means that you cannot involve a sign over here, plus or minus. It is a kind of mod function actually. And this is I multiplication is basically sign multiplication. You can easily use minus and plus over here. It is basically, it supports this, and it does not, multiplication does not support signs actually. Now another arithmetic instruction is basically division instruction, and you can see that in this instruction you have to actually divide, and the difficulty in division is basically you always are not getting a remainder 1. There will be some remainder, and you have to store some remainder in some memory, and you have also a quotient that you want to save in some memory. So these remainder and quotient are actually saved in the same register A but in the lower and higher byte. This will be placed with each other like this, but in a single register. So what does this division source do? It divides the word by a byte or double word by a word. You never divide a lower number from a higher number. This is the difference between this multiplication and normal multiplication. Let's say this is your higher number, you cannot divide this. So for that you always need a word by byte or double word by word. You will always have to divide a large or double word with a lower word, because you do not want this term to become in decimals, because it will create a mess. So for that you always do this instruction, and after this you will be carrying some remainder and some quotient as well. So it will be easy for you to store that information in your any accumulator or any register. Similarly, this is also unsigned division. You cannot put signs over here, and if you want to allocate some signs, this is let's say crucial application, and you want to store the information about the signs as well. So for that you need to involve IDIV instead of DIV only. So this is the instruction set for division. Now coming towards another operation that is used in arithmetic instructions is convert byte to word. You cannot always play with bytes or in the processor. Sometimes you want to convert that byte into a word, and for that you need to use CBW, and CBW is actually command which converts a byte into a word. Similarly, if you want to convert your word into double word, you can use CWD, and it is very easy. It is very easy. You will see that. Let's say I have a data of 0 1, and I just want to make it double. The size of the data is I want to double the size of the data. I can easily do that using the dummy bits over here. Now the size of the data becomes double. Now if I want to double the size of this data, I will easily do this. I will put some random or dummy, not random, actually dummy bits over here. So I have converted this word into double word and into again double word. So this is actually about the size. I have doubled the size actually. So similarly you can use these commands for any other purposes. So that's all for today's lecture. In the coming class we will discuss all of these instructions with their specifically applications. We will use that how these different instructions are involved while you are designing or while you are implementing some data or any program. So how does you will select any of these instructions? We will look at different scenarios. It will be an interesting class. So I suggest you to watch this video at least 2 times, because there are several questions regarding all of these instructions. I know that it cannot be understood in 30 or 40 or 1 hour. You have to discuss it actually. So I want to discuss these commands with you before you conclude. You have reached on a conclusion. So let's have a discussion, good discussion on this different instruction set, and I hope to see you all in the class. If you have any questions regarding that, keep that in your mind and write it down to a paper so that you won't forget it. I will be seeing you in the class inshallah. That's all for today. Allah Hafiz.